Head of the gate, JT, as we are live at La Casa Cigar Lounge in beautiful Tivoli Village, underway on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio, brought to you by Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. Thrilled to be here today. Kind of a holiday show. A couple of friends coming by today, and if you're in the area and you can get out here, please come by. We would love to see you as we open up the show. We got a couple of more shows left, a few more shows left. But we'd like to say hello and thank you for a great year here. Not a great record for the team we're covering, but we think a great year overall for our flagship station and everything that we do here. So thank you so much in advance, everybody, for everything we do. And thanks a lot for coming on, man. It means a lot. It means a lot to all of our partners, all of our listeners, our flagship station, everybody who tunes in, our entire lineup from the morning tailgate, Rich Eisen show that just ended. I'm here every day, noon to 2, and then Q Myers coming on after me. And I'm very grateful for everybody here as we're thanking all of our partners, as we always do, as we're wrapping up the year. And we'll get the Raiders going. As Chef Louis here, a couple of my buddies, I'm telling you, we'll get the Raiders going. It's going to get going. And that's the focus of my monologue, brought to you by Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence, as we get going here. There's a lot to tell you about, but what I wanted to open up with was last night, the Chargers beating the Denver Broncos was an awakening for me. I repeat, it was an absolute slap in the face, gut punch, watching the Chargers and Denver play at a very high level. I got that one wrong. I did not think that either one of those teams would be playoff bound this year. They're both going to be playoff bound, along with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Houston Texans, not the Patriots, and the Raiders. They are not in the postseason this year. But watching that game last night, I couldn't believe how both of those teams played their ass off, ran the ball, were tough and physical. Because since the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, the Denver Broncos have not been tough and physical. The LA Chargers, we haven't had a problem with them. We put 63 on their ass, the all-time scoring record. Right? We haven't had a problem. We knocked the Chargers out of the playoffs in one of the greatest games ever played in the league. We haven't had a problem with Denver and the Chargers, fact, not fiction, since the Raiders moved from Oakland to Las Vegas. Now we have a problem. Now, I don't think it's a big problem, but it's a problem. The big problem is the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the big problem because they're unbelievable and they have an opportunity to be a dynasty. And I like putting dynasties out of business. You know, I don't like dynasties unless they're my team. If your team's a dynasty, I understand why you love it, right? I'm a Yankee fan. When they're a dynasty, I love it. When they're not, I hate it. The Dodgers have an opportunity right now to be a dynasty with Shohei Ohtani. They're spending the most money. They got an unbelievable team. They're clutch. They're great. They got everything. They could be a dynasty. But when it comes to football, Kansas City is about to become the number one greatest dynasty ever if they win one more Super Bowl. That'll be a three-peat. Lombardi didn't do that. Shula didn't do that. The Raiders didn't do that. The Patriots didn't do that. The Patriots, who are the most recent dynasty we've had in the NFL, has not done that. So Kansas City must be stopped at all costs. And let me tie this together like I like to do. Maybe, ironically, what can tear down Kansas City is what we're not able to do at this moment, the Raiders. Maybe, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Maybe we need the Chargers and the Broncos to beat the Chiefs. Am I making sense, Raider Nation? We can't do it now. We have the longest losing streak in the league. So we can't stop the Chiefs. It's over for this year. I'm hoping with a franchise quarterback and better players and Tom Telesco spending money and Tom Brady saying, yeah, I like that guy, bring him in. The Raiders will have a rebirth and the Raiders will be back again. But the thing that I'm telling you after watching that game last night, Kansas City, if they get the number one seed, is going to get a bye week. They're going to get a bye week. And then they're going to play the lowest seed left in their first round, which is called the divisional playoffs. That team's either going to be the Chargers or the Denver Broncos. You got what I'm saying? It's not going to be the Houston Texans. They're a division winner. It could be Baltimore. It could be Baltimore. And I'd rather it be Baltimore because that means I don't have to talk about the Chargers and I don't have to talk about Denver. So with all that being said, as I open up the show, we might need the bleeping donkeys, and we might need the powder blue Chargers to knock this dynasty down, because that's the only way I see it. If Kansas City gets the 1 seed, they will host the Buffalo Bills or the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens, however it's going to play out. They'll host them in the AFC Championship at Arrowhead. Good luck beating them at Arrowhead with a Super Bowl trip and a dynasty on the line. Good luck beating them there. It's going to be close to impossible. Buffalo is the only team that I think is better than Kansas City, period. I think Buffalo can beat them anywhere in a parking lot. They can beat them in a neutral site, but they're going to be playing in Kansas City because Buffalo trails Kansas City by 2 games. Now, Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. He's going to play this week. What the hell is that all about? He shouldn't be playing this week. They should shut him down. They should shut him down for a week to get him healthy because they're going on Super Bowl. But no, Mahomes is like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to play. That's concerning to me because something's motivating Mahomes. And I think what's motivating Mahomes is to get the number 1 seed overall. And if they get the number 1 seed overall, they get a week off. And everything goes through Arrowhead again. So, man, I'm just telling you, you know me, you've been listening to me for 25 minutes or 25 years. You know I root against the Donkeys. I despise the Chargers. I don't even look at the Chargers. The Chargers have been irrelevant your entire life. They've been irrelevant. And now the Chargers are relevant because Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. Justin Herbert isn't good. He's elite. He's an elite quarterback. They want to run the ball. They tackle well. They got good players, and they're just starting under Harbaugh. They're only going to get better in the next couple of years. In Denver, I'm not drinking the Bo Nix Kool-Aid just yet. I think that Bo Nix, I don't care if he plays this year, next year, 10 years. I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where Bo Nix is going to be unbeatable. Yeah, I think whenever we play Bo Nix 2 years from now, next year, Denver, Vegas, I think that Bo Nix will be a beatable quarterback. He's not going to be John Elway. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. And hopefully if the Raiders get Shador, I just said it. See that, Louis? I promised I wouldn't say it. If the Raiders get Cam or Shador, then they groom that young man to be better than Bo Nix, obviously. Better than Bo. And then the Ravens will be right back with an elite young franchise quarterback able to take out maybe 1 or 2 of those cases. But oh boy, last night we had a nice dinner at Emmett Smith's restaurant on the Strip. It was my buddy's birthday. We had the game on in the room. We had about 15 people, couples. It was a holiday party. I'm looking up. I'm going, look at this Denver Bronco team run the ball. Look at this Charger team punching them in the mouth. I said, man, we got to get Raider Nation back to that. We need the Raiders to become a violent and physical football team after what I saw last night. Those 2 teams that I watched on television last night, on Thursday night, were more physical and tougher than the Las Vegas Raiders, a 2-win team. That's not going to last forever. You know what I just said. Hopefully it turns around quickly because we do have Max Crosby, and we got JPJ, and we got Jacoby, and we're bringing back good players like Spillane, I would assume. We're a pretty good team. Got a great punter, a great kicker. There's good players. But we need a running back. We probably need a number 1 wide receiver in the draft, right? We need more linebackers. I'd like a right tackle. Even though we got a young one, I'd like a veteran right tackle. Whatever we're going to do. So if you want to watch our show, we're live on YouTube, JC the Brick YT. We're live from La Casa Cigar Lounge. People starting to roll in. We're brought to you by Remy Martin. Remy Martin is one of our premier partners that have been with me since the Las Vegas Raiders came to Las Vegas. We'll bring on Stephen Brody in a second to talk to him about it. I'd like to take your phone calls today on the topic that I just threw out for the first 15 minutes. The concern for me is what I saw last night with the Broncos and the Chargers. I got it wrong. I admit when I'm wrong. When I get something wrong, you usually tell me. You try to slide into my DMs and tell me I'm wrong. I got this one wrong. I did not think the Donkeys were going to be this good, this quick, and I definitely didn't think the Chargers in year 1 with Harbaugh would be a 10 or 11 win team. 12-win team, maybe? Whoa, wait a second. We got to deal with those guys, man. We got to deal with those guys for years to come. So, Raider Nation, am I overstepping my boundaries here? Or do you agree with me that we got our hands full? I didn't think we had our hands full 2 or 3 years ago in Vegas. We beat the Broncos 8 in a row. 8 in a row. We beat them.
Yeah, I know.
Chargers, we never have a problem with. We split with them. They beat us in LA. We beat them there. We're pretty good. We put 63 up on them. We're all right with that. They have Boyd Blunder, the head coach. Then they bring in Harbaugh, and they're super legit now. So the question for everybody that I'm throwing out today is, what is your concern level, not with the Chiefs, but with Denver and the Chargers? My level of concern went up high last night when I watched that game because of the style of play that they played in. They played the type of football that I want the Raiders to play. Violent, aggressive, run the ball, get in a barroom brawl every game. I saw that from both LA and Denver last night. And Tom Telesco is going to have to go out and find more players like that. Because we got a good team here that's in the middle of a really bad run. And a lot of guys aren't going to be back. But the guys who do come to this franchise, we got to find ourselves a Derwin James. We need to find a Cortland Sutton. We need to find some of those alt guys up front for the Chargers, Joe Alt. We got to find some of those guys, man, or it's going to be tough sledding. Stephen Brody, we're ready for you, man. Get a chance here. One of our great partners is here from Remy Martin. And Remy Martin has signature cocktails all day today, and we'll be here all day. And I wanted to thank him first as he just got here. One of our longest standing partners here on our flagship radio station. And we'll take a thing on the other side. We'll turn it around there. Yep, there you go. And we appreciate Remy Martin and everything you do for us. How are you, buddy?
Good, JT. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you. First off, thank you for your team coming out here. How was the year for Remy and all your partners?
It's been a great year, man. Every year is a good year, but this one in particular, our Usher partnership still going very strong. We're very proud about that. Some of the other brands that we have in the portfolio that we're featuring here today as well, on feature, like Botanist Gin, Quad Pro, still going strong. So we really appreciate your partnership and promoting on the air all the time on Brady Radio.
It's a great partnership for us because we treat you and you treat us like family. Tell us about the Cointreau birthday and how long this brand has been around and why it's such a signature brand all over the world.
It's the original triple sec, and a lot of people don't realize that every margarita they drink, there's triple sec. And we say the cocktail is only as strong as your weakest ingredient. So you use a premium product like Cointreau, you really elevate the entire cocktail. So the brand itself has been around for 250 years. It's from Angers, France. And our company, we're actually celebrating our 300-year anniversary for the entire company. So the company's name is Remy Cointreau. It was the second brand that we acquired many years ago. So it's been a big celebration this year.
I know you teach everybody who works at the company about that. They go to class on this. Incredible. A 300-year-old company.
Very, very impressive. You've done a really good job with that anniversary every year. We've done some really high dinners to celebrate. We've actually released a brand new liquid for the first time. It's called Remy 300. Because we're about $2,500, so it's quite premium. And we don't do too much innovation in the movies. We kind of stick with the VSOP 1730. So to come out with a brand new liquid to commemorate this anniversary was really special.
Stephen Brody, our partner here from Remy Martin. Please, our listeners also, you come to Vegas. From Mandalay Bay to the Bellagio down to Starbucks. What's it like having your plans connected?
It's amazing. I was just at Stadium Swing Circle yesterday. We had great representation there. Many times you'll come to Vegas, you'll walk up on the mezzanine, you'll see our brands there activated. Similar as we do right here, we're doing activation on the Casa Cigar, amplifying our 1738 sidecar. But yeah, we're all over Vegas. If you come here, you cannot miss our brands. Whether it's Remy Martin, Cognac, Cointreau, Botanist, Mount Gay Rum, you name it, you're going to see it.
And a little rodeo action.
Absolutely.
I explain this to everyone. And for those who are listening, most of our audience is outside of Vegas. The rodeo is incredible to me because this month used to be a dead month. And you're a young guy, you've been around here long enough, you heard the stories about how Vegas didn't activate from early December until New Year's. And now with the concerts that are here, the rodeo, everything that comes in and kind of bookends that. It's incredible.
What do they call it? Cowboy Christmas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now with F1 too, it's actually become an incredibly busy time, right? You know, between Thanksgiving and Christmas traditionally in the market has been a little bit slow, but you introduce something like F1, which has been a major.
I thought F1 was much better here too. Obviously, everybody complained here about one for obvious reasons, some of the issues there. I thought they hit a home run this last time.
You know, one of the things about Formula One in Vegas is the product of the race is very, very good. Both years, the most overtakes, you know, has some dramatic finishes. So the actual race and the qualifying has been great. I think they did a much better job this year with everything around the race, the setup, the teardown, the brand activation. So it's a learning process, just like the Patriots and the Raiders are going through their learning process.
Well, I want to get into sports. Stephen Brody, our partner here from Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. So I look back on this year, and I'll do that next week, like a year in review. The Celtics won the title, and that had to be big. And I know your dad and you, and the history of the Celtics in Boston. And the NBA is going through a little bit of a weird year. We just had the NBA Cup here, but the Celtics, I was just talking about dynasty. And the way the Celtics play basketball reminds me of the Warriors about a decade ago when they were building that dynasty. Do you think the Celtics could put together the 2-3-4?
I absolutely do if they don't change the rules, and I kind of have a take for you.
All right, let's go. Here we go.
You know, when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were hitting all these threes, it never seemed to be an issue. But the minute the Celtics start becoming the best three-point shooting team, now everyone's got a problem with it.
You know, I don't think you should change the rule in sports much. You know, I don't care if you're putting a ghost runner on second base or changing the Pro Bowl or I don't think they're going to change the three. I don't. And if they do that because they think the format is changing so much and the young fans aren't going to love it as much, I mean, I'm a little bit old school. But I really believe leave the sport alone and try to find the teams like the Celtics that can pound it down low and shoot the three. And that's what Boston does.
Everything is cyclical, right, JT? I mean, you know, early 2000 it was Shaq, with Yao Mings, it was the big postman. You know, in the 80s it was the footwork, the Kale, Ewing. So, you know, now the game's come so far outside. I think that there's actually an opportunity for a young, bright coach to exploit, you know, a soft inside game. So we'll see how that translates.
Last thing, I'm watching the Knicks, and they had this big win last night, and I tweeted out, Karl Anthony Towns was taking 3 after 3, and he was hitting them. But I was pissed off because I don't want him taking. I don't like when guys 6'11" or 7 feet are taking threes. And now Towns, who's almost 7 feet, can knock him down. And I don't want him to get used to that. I want him to actually on the block.
Well, you need him there to board too, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I look at a player like Al Horford for my Celtics, right? You know, when he was coming up on the Hawks, he was a down low post player. And he has adapted his game to the times. And I think a player like Karl Anthony Towns is kind of doing that in real time as well. You know, his time up in Minnesota he's really extended the perimeter. So, you know, I think it's a testament to the skill level of the players. I mean, obviously, as a fan, you want to have your big man down low, grabbing those boards, but you got to give it up to these players. Adapting with the times, being so versatile, it's quite amazing.
My friend, thank you for the partnership with the entire team. What does Remy have in store for 2025? I'm really excited about it.
2025, we are launching Remy V, which is a brand within the Remy Martin family that's actually a clear liquid. So clear eau de vie. We're really going to be trying to attract some new audience to Remy Martin that might be intimidated by a brown spirit, might not know what kind of is. So we can kind of attack some cocktails that are typically made with vodka or tequila and introduce folks to Remy. Through that, it's kind of what we're excited for in 2021.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Thank you so much as we get rolling here. One of our proud partners and one of the reasons we're here today, Thor is here from the Raider Nation Drinking Club. Appreciate that. And we want to invite everybody down here. The monologue brought to you by Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. Really there. Denver and the two teams coming in. Italy, how are you? Good, Mikey.
obviously, I don't want to get into that with the NFL distribution. I don't want to get into that. But I think, AP, I think we have the coach now, and because these other three teams in the division are playing good and they're going to be good for a while, I want him to grow into the position. I want to knock it out of the park with a couple of good drafts. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm 55 years since the Jets made the Super Bowl. 20 years. I don't want to go through that again with the Raiders. They got to knock it out of the park. They're going to have some high draft picks in the next couple of years. I think it's actually relaxing to the Raiders because you got three really strong teams ahead of you. The players, listen, they lose the players next man up. They go through a war. It's a learning process. It's one of 30 jobs. I think we have the coach. I think we just gotta have the GM back him up, make some good picks. I think we have the best owner. You people think I'm crazy. I think we have the best owner in football. I think he'll do anything to make this team, which also means have patience, JT.
All right, Mikey, I appreciate it. It's been 50 plus years since the Jets have played in the Super Bowl. So you think about that. The Jets winning Super Bowl III with Joe Namath. So I always, people are talking about this Raider drought and what's going on. Absolutely, there's a Raider drought. And for the Raiders who played in Super Bowl 37, I understand that. But there are teams like the Detroit Lions, the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a lot of teams. Carolina Panthers, they went to a Super Bowl, didn't win. There are a lot of teams around this league that have had enormously long droughts. The problem with the Raiders is the fact that they suffered a lot of injuries this year. They just got destroyed with injuries. Now, next year, if we bring in new players and the same thing happens again, and guys like Christian Wilkins and Epps and Malcolm Kuntz aren't available in week 1, 2, and 3, you're going to have the same problem again. I don't think the Raiders are going to have an injury bug like this again. I don't think many teams are going to go through what the Niners went through this year, the Detroit Lions are going through, and especially what the Raiders are going through now. 702-365-9200. Case Raider out in Michigan. Thanks for calling in. What's happening?
Hey, JT. Yeah, watching that game last night just really made me think, man, that what a good coach does to a football team, man. There's not that many studs on the Chargers. There's not that many studs on the Broncos. Not that many, as I say studs, I mean big name players where, you got the Rams a few years ago that had 10 stars on one team that won a Super Bowl. When you got a coach in there that knows, and I'm not knocking saying AP don't know football because we know the man knows football. It's just this year when the pavement hit the road, he kind of clammed up in the spotlight and it got a little tough on him. I don't know if there's too many people talking in his ear. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But AP didn't look the same as he did last year on those wins. Last year was a little bit different year than what we had this year. But what I want to see going forward, I don't care who the coach is, Raider Nation for life. I want a coach that's going to come in and it's going to have the team so we can play like the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs are playing, and we can be dominant because this is going on 40 years.
Oh, come on, get him off. I know it's our guy who wants to come in and change his name up there. Bobby, I'd be a little bit better than that there. So, unbelievable. 702-365-9200. Very passionate call right there. Very passionate. Look, I'll say this on the record here because people are clipping my show and putting it on reels every minute. Antonio Pierce had a much better team last year than he has this year, all because of the injuries. So for everybody who says, well, AP's lost 10 in a row, hey, the Raiders are struggling, you're right. Is he a different coach than he was last year? He's supposed to be better because he was an interim coach last year. Now he's the head coach. He's got people around him, people helping him along the way. Is he perfect with the clock and timeouts and replays? No. Is he telling everybody he's working through it? Yes. But he doesn't have the team that he had last year. Go back to Christmas. We're not even at Christmas yet. You go back to that roster last Christmas for the Raiders at Kansas City with a healthy Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby and Epps and everybody that they had there. Look at that roster compared to this roster. It's night and day. Even the offensive line, which I wasn't a big fan of last year, it's a much better offensive line last year than this year. They didn't make the mistakes last year that they're making now. You want to blame that on coaching? You can. If you want to blame it on personnel, you can. But again, I don't make excuses. I'm just reminding everybody that all of these injuries have mounted. And if the Raiders didn't have all these injuries, they wouldn't have lost 10 in a row. I can promise you that. If the Raiders had 3 of their defensive line starters and they had one quarterback who wasn't injured all year playing better, maybe the Raiders are a 6-7 win team. 8 wins top. But they wouldn't be suffering a 10-game losing streak going forward hosting Jacksonville at home. 702-365-9200. The monologue brought to you by our great friends at PT's. PT's fuels the monologue. We appreciate PT's. Head on out 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. When we come back, Chris Matthews is going to join us next hour. My conversation with the head coach, also Antonio Pierce. We play that every Friday. People are starting to roll into La Casa Cigars. We got Remy Martin drink specials. They got pizza here. They got Woodson bourbon whiskey. And Thor, I'm ready to have an ice cold Modelo because I'm an adult and I can do radio, cigars, and Modelos at the same time.
Should be good now. I got that. Now,
Yeah. Yes. I'm ready. Yeah, I'll have a Modelo. Yeah, appreciate it. So, Mike, will you speak or something?
I lowered them. You want them on now?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
You want a negative? Oh, we have the PA now too, so.
Good, whatever.
It's better.
Yeah.
The speakers should be-
You want a negative on that?
Yeah, sure. I'm just reminding everybody that all of these injuries are mounted. If the Raiders didn't have all these injuries, they would have lost 10 in a row. I can promise you that. If the Raiders had 3 of their defensive line starters and they had one quarterback who wasn't injured all year playing better, maybe the Raiders were a 6-7 win team. 8 wins out.
I didn't notice
They wouldn't
that.
be suffering a 10-game losing streak going forward. Yeah. 702-365-9200. We don't want the monologue brought to you by.
Now, whenever you have the host, come out and-
Yeah, good.
What's your take on the
When we come back, Chris Matthews is going to join us next hour. My conversation with the head coach, also Antonio Pierce. We played that.
Yeah, Mike, you do all of that. Thanks. It's on the live. Yeah, I'm a Cigar guy. Cool. I tell you what. Right. Who was the other one? CJ Stroud. Correct. Right. Maybe the number 2 pick. Maybe the number 2 pick's better than the number 1 pick. Yeah. Right? If you look at the last 2 drafts. Absolutely. And we got Matt Jones coming to play. I was hoping to get into some Patriots talk. I know your listeners. Yeah, I'm trying to. No, I got you. Well, when you're really good or you're really bad, so it's a lot of emotion.
Coffee? Yeah, of course. French press or espresso or French press.
All right. We got a cigar. We got a beer. There you go. Cookies here. Wow. Tiramisu. Yes. Tiramisu. Patriots should. You don't bring mail. No chance. How about Crable? I think he's going to be a good coach wherever he ends up going. You can't miss with him. Really? Vrabel? Yeah, I think Vrabel, if he coaches a different team down the road. I'm a Pierce guy.
Highly regarded.
Yeah, Vrabel's highly regarded around the league. Thanks, man.
Should bring his son, man.
How many guys on the radio have a cigar and a beer? Come on. Right?
Can I answer that question for you? No, you got I think that's where the line is. You need
Just get out there. I don't know what happened. I got these back. Now we're going to work on that.
That was working fine.
Was it?
I was talking about on the show. So I'll have that. I just want to put that over.
When you turn it on right now, it was about to be the high.
So that's the delay that we go through.
Exactly. So now that's just going to go straight out of the ear. Whatever the headphones are hearing, it's going to come right out of the PA. So when you and then right out of here. That would probably bad. Huh?
That's Antonio Pierce, head coach of the Silver and Black. I have a Modelo Negra and an Arturo Fuente cigar, and I can do this. So if you're watching us on our live stream, you'll see this. A nice cigar, a nice cold beer as we're sitting here live at La Casa Cigars, Tivoli Village. It's an absolute beautiful location to come on out here. Even if you're not a cigar connoisseur, they have an unbelievable outdoor party patio. They have an expansion going on, a construction next door, and this thing is a monster. And they're one of our proud partners here. So we just heard from Antonio Pierce. You'll hear my conversation coming up with him next hour. The Dean of the Newsman, Chris Matthews, will be joining us. My buddy Louie brought some tiramisu. Mike brought some Christmas cookies. And everybody bringing cigars. I appreciate that. Thanks to all my friends who are showing up today. So what Coach Pierce just told everybody was, you're looking at a team with 22 to 25 first-year starters. Some are from the practice squad, some are on reserve because of all the injuries. So what does that mean? That means that it's time for the young kids to play with this record at the end of the year while trying to compete and win games. So the biggest struggle that I've had this entire season, 27 years with the team, maybe my biggest struggle was this year, because this is the first time in the history of my show that people want to lose. Fans want to lose football games. I don't ever recall that. Now, I know it happened around the Jamarcus Russell time, but I don't remember it as badly as I remember it now. I don't remember people calling in or don't, because I think the Jamarcus Russell time is we didn't have Twitter, right? We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have social media. So I didn't see Raider Nation. And when I went to all the games in Oakland, never missed a game in Oakland, a home game. Now, when I went up there, I never talked to people in the Black Hole Tailgate and the places I went to. Whereas all the great tailgates, the Chris and West Oakland tailgates, no one was talking about losing. No one was talking about tanking. And now we hear from callers who want to tank. We see it on social media. And we're seeing people now allowing losing to come into their mentality. Not the football players, not the staff, no one on Raiders' way, no one working for the team. And there could be people behind the scenes who desperately want that first pick, if you know what I'm saying. But what's happening now is the younger generation of fans, I'm talking younger than 40, if you're in your 30s, if you're in your 20s, those who grew up with Madden, the video game, and the trade simulator, and free agency, and understanding how to make trades, and they play games with it. Those young people believe that this is a game where you can go on a video game and trade and go get rid of a Devontae Adams, get the first pick in the draft, move around and do whatever you want. It doesn't work that way. You need to draft great young players and develop them and keep them in-house and then sign them to contracts that are friendly to the organization. The best example I can give you of that would be Max Crosby. He was drafted in the 4th round. He's a first-round talent. When he was up for contract, the Raiders extended him. He's getting paid good market value, and he probably is going to get more and more because he's an elite potential Hall of Famer. The Raiders and Tom Telesco going forward, and the coaching staff has to find young players in the first 5 years of their contracts, preferably a quarterback and a young wide receiver. And Trey Tucker is a nice young wide receiver. He isn't, he's not one of these Jamar Chase guys, okay? He's not Justin Jefferson. The Raiders got to find a rookie to come in and play wide receiver. Maybe trade up from that second-round pick, trade the second and the Devontae third, one of the twos, and move up into the first round and get an elite wide receiver to go along with the starting quarterback. Now you got two pieces, such as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, to put together with Max Crosby and Trayvon Merritt and Robert Spillane and hopefully Tyree Wilson and hopefully Malcolm Coates and a healthy Christian Wilkins. And then you have enough players to go up against the Chargers and the Denver Broncos and beat them. I don't know if it's going to be enough to go in there and beat Kansas City over the next year or two. But I don't think the Raiders need a rebuild, nor are we ever talking about that. What I think the Raiders need to do is a reload. And they're going to be able to do that because of all the money they have, the enormous amount of money available via the cap and the high draft picks that they have in each round, and the ability now to trade up with those draft picks and go get superstar young players. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be Travis Hunter. It could be Cam Moore. A lot of people want Shador. I don't know if it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. I doubt it. But the Raiders need a reset because we saw Justin Herbert and Bo Nix go back and forth last night. And those two young men are going to be playing for the Chargers and the Broncos for well over another 10 years, another decade. And that's a concern for me after watching them play last night. 702-365-9200. Here's Tyler in Vegas. Tyler, how are you? Real good, thanks.
I watched that game. Well, I love the game with him.
Yeah, but Tyler, you're talking about the Rich Gannon era, which was well over 20 years ago. But you made a good point about Derek Carr. Appreciate the call, thank you. You made a really good point about Derek Carr breaking his leg. That was a Super Bowl team. The Jack Del Rio 12-14, when Derek Carr broke his leg, was ready for home playoff games, and they were ready to make a Super Bowl run. In fact, now picture, I don't know if they would have won a Super Bowl. When I started with the Raiders in '98, we went to 2 AFC championship games and went to a Super Bowl. So with all of that, I saw great Raider teams. I saw Tim Brown, Charles Woodson come into this organization. Rich Gannon win the MVP. Those were my first years with the Raiders. I thought that was going to happen every year. We had Lincoln Kennedy. We had an unbelievable offensive line. Barrett Robbins, until what happened at the Super Bowl, was an outstanding player. There were so many good players on that team. And Mr. Davis, Al Davis at that time, tried to put together a team that could win 1 Super Bowl, let alone 2 or 3. And you're right to mention the Tuck Rule game. The Tuck Rule game was a Super Bowl for John Gruden. John Gruden, after beating the Patriots in the divisional playoff game, if they didn't have the Tuck Rule, would have went on to at least the AFC Championship game. And if you want to be optimistic, probably won that game with the talent they had. And then they go to the Super Bowl, and you look at it that way. The Patriots won their first ever Super Bowl when they were able to do that. So, and that picture of the Tuck Rule is in Coach Gruden's bathroom. If you've been following Barstool lately, Coach Gruden, in his bathroom, he has that picture above the toilet of the Tuck Rule game. So we can do this woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff. But what I hope happens to the Raiders in Las Vegas, Rich Bisaccia took over for John Gruden because of the email scandal, took the Raiders to the playoffs. Raiders lost to Cincinnati. What happens if the Raiders win that game? First and goal at the 9. They win that game. Can they win another one? I don't think that was a Super Bowl team. But you never know. Derek Carr would have had 2 chances to go deep into the playoffs. The broken leg of Carr set the franchise back because Carr was never the same. Carr's always was always a good player. But after Derek broke his leg, he clearly was not the same player. Very good player, but not a Hall of Famer, not a perennial Pro Bowler. After that, 702-365-9200. And for everybody who wants to see the Raiders get back to greatness, all it's going to take is a young quarterback that gets developed and groomed by a veteran quarterback, a play caller who has some upside, and then Telesco has to fill in the holes on defense. I think when the defense is completely healthy, I think the defense just needs 2 or 3 more starters. I need 2 linebackers in this offseason. Okay, nothing against Divine Diablo, good player. I'm talking finding Ray Lewis type players, man. You know what I'm saying? I got the Gruden man going here. You got to find players. You got to find players who are all-stars, Pro Bowlers, not guys. Not good players, because the Raiders have some good players. No. You need Pro Bowlers. So when you evaluate Trayvon Merrick going forward, let me ask you this. Do you think Trayvon Merrick can be a Pro Bowler? I do. I think Trayvon Merrick 2-3 years from now could develop into a Pro Bowl safety. If I'm wrong, you know where to find me. Malcolm Kuntz, I thought could develop into a Pro Bowl type player opposite of Max Crosby. Christian Wilkins is already a Pro Bowler. You see, Coach, you'll hear it next hour. Coach talk about Robertson Wayne, a Pro Bowl type of player. Colton Miller. How come Colton Miller hasn't been in the Pro Bowl? I'll tell you why. Because there's better left tackles who are elite. And Colton's very good, but Colton's not elite. He's just very good. Got to find guys. Can Jackson Powers Johnson be a Pro Bowl center? I think so. Maybe that's a guy you can build around. And then I'll save the best for last when it comes to upside. This Tyree Wilson guy. Something's got to happen with him. I call him the Kevin Durant of the NFL. He looks like Durant with his wingspan. They got to put another 15 pounds of muscle on this guy. And he's got to start throwing people around. I'm not talking Reggie White, Deacon Jones. But he's got to end up being a player in this league because he's the 7th pick overall in the first round. He develops into someone who is elite. Man, he swung and missed on a lot of guys. Henry Ruggs III, right? Damon Arnett. I'm talking first round guys. Jonathan Abel. Josh Jacobs, a great pick. He was a great Raven. If you look at some of the players that have come along in this organization for the last 5 years, not drafted by Tom Telesco, drafted by good men. Mike Mayock, a good guy. Dave Ziegler, a good guy. You look at some of these first-round misses, you can't miss on first-round picks. You just can't. If your first-round pick turns out to be a starter who's above average, you can live with that. We got guys in this organization who are gone, who were just drafted in the first round a couple of years ago, and they're not even in the league. Hunter Renfro's not in the league. He was a hell of a player. He's one of the best players I've seen come to the Raiders. He's not in the league. You can't have that anymore, man. That's why Tom Telesco went out and got who? Who did he bring in? DJ Glaze. Looks like he's going to play in this league as a starter. Right? You take a look at Jackson Powers Johnson, 2nd-round pick. He could be a Pro Bowler. Then you look overall at what he's trying to do. Brock Bowers could be a generational talent for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's get more guys like that. The first 3 to 4 picks of this upcoming draft will be used to bundle to go get a quarterback or stay at home and get the quarterback with a high pick and then go get all-star after all-star Pro Bowler. We can't miss any more around this place or it won't work. 702-365-9200. We are brought to you by Modelo. an unbelievable Modelo cocktail. Mike and our whole team here from La Casa Cigars. Hey, it's been a tough year for Raider Nation. So come on down and have a cigar, a Remy Martin cocktail, and team up for excellence. There you go. Whoa! I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Thank you, man. I'm pumping today. I'm selling dreams. I'm selling dreams. I'm drinking beer and selling dreams. Who's the offensive lineman I'm talking about who's out of the league? It's Alex Leatherwood. Do you know that Alex Leatherwood? No, but look, Alex Leatherwood won what's the offensive line award? The Outland Trophy? He won the Outland Trophy on a national championship team. He's supposed to now, this year, be in the Pro Bowl every year for 5 years. Out of the league. Is he out of the league? I think he is.
Yeah, take a sip of that. Take a sip.
Why not a campaign to bring back Brady? What happened to the Raider love there? I don't get it. I don't understand it. A guy got railroaded with a diehard Raider fan
Mike, can I get a light? Yeah.
Bring him back.
Yeah, light from you. I work for this coach, man. I work for this coach.
I'm not a big Raider fan. It happens. Hit the spot. I like to sit down and cheese. Then we'll go from there. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's the elite.
It costs more. And you know, it was a personal email. It was a personal email. No, I would tell people when you feel the same way I yeah, but no, I understand. I think if you went through everybody's stuff, somebody would have. Yeah, so. No, so,
What's going on, Bobby? No one on the phones? You know that was Passionate Raider, right? Yeah.
D-O-N-N-C.
What's going on, everyone?
But it's so like, why did you know? Why was you? So the other hot item you do.
Well, I normally don't play Chargers audio on this show, but they're the only team that played last night and they won. JT back with you. Bobby's back in the studio. Carlos is here. We got a good crew. We appreciate everybody. We're brought to you by Remy Martin, our proud partner here, helping us out. We got Remy Martin signature cocktails as people are coming into the bar. Look, I know it's holiday season. You might be Christmas shopping. We want to thank the Castaverde Law Group. Alex in Orlando, the Castaverde, they normally slide by, but they're having their holiday party as we speak, and I want to thank them. You might not need them, but if you get into an accident, have their number in your phone. Because 702-222-9999, believe me, I told the story earlier this week. Sunday night I was driving back from the Raider game, Monday night, excuse me, and a wrong-way driver was coming at me on the 215, coming right at me in the far lane, and that individual was brought to justice, or will be, but that was tough, and that's why we have an attorney team here. If something like that happens and you need expert legal advice at the Castaverde Law Group, 702-222-9999. Want to hear from Raider fans. The topic I threw out as I opened up the show is the level of concern you have for the Broncos and the Chargers after watching last night. I thought both teams were outstanding. And that pains me to say because I root against those teams. I root for them to lose every day. I want them to lose in practice. No injuries. No injuries. I want them to lose every day. And I want the Raiders to win every day. But I will be honest with everybody because I'm always honest. Last night was the first night that I scratched my head and said, uh-oh. I always knew Kansas City was out there. We got to track them down. Eventually, Mahomes, Kelsey's going to age out. We'll catch Kansas City after this unbelievable run. But I looked at Denver and I looked at the Chargers and said, those boys are going to be a problem around here. And I was hoping that problem wouldn't happen this year. It's here. It's like a storm. They say there's a hurricane coming. A lot of times there's no rain. There's no storm. It kind of misses you. Well, the Chargers and the Broncos are a big storm coming our way. We better get good. We better get good really quick, and we better match up against those teams. The coaches who have been hired in the past year, and including the coach we have now, Antonio Pierce, you'll hear my conversation with him coming up in a bit. They all knew they were chasing Kansas City, and they've been honest about it. Now they realize that we're chasing Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton, two exceptional coaches, which means the Raiders have to be at their best this offseason. I think a lot of that's going to come down to Tom Brady. I've said it. I'll say it again. Tom Brady is going to be assisting in some capacity at the quarterback position with Mark Davis and Tom Telesco and who's ever behind the scenes, Richard Seymour, whatever group they use to make these hires. Tom Brady, I'm hoping, is going to have a big voice at quarterback after he's done with the Super Bowl in Fox. It's going to be a quick turnaround for Brady. Because Brady, who's one of our owners now, minority owner, with the two new gentlemen that we welcomed in last week. And Tom Brady's going to have to quickly look at the talent that is assembled and say, this is the quarterback that I'm leaning towards. What happens if Tom Brady and Tom Telesco think that's a veteran quarterback, such as Sam Darnold? What if they look at another quarterback and say, and Kirk Cousins is not going to be that guy, but someone like that. And I don't think most Raider fans want to go down that road and have another veteran quarterback because we just had Gardner Minshew. We just had Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo was a good player in this league, and it never panned out here in Las Vegas due to his injury. He was injured the whole time and should have never been brought in that capacity for that money. Should have never been brought in because the amount of money that Gardner Minshew made, I can live with. That's backup money. Got good money to be a backup, and he started. Good money. Aiden O'Connell's not getting paid a lot of money. Desmond Ridder is not getting paid a lot of money. So none of that is really important to me. But going forward, if you get a rookie quarterback who can play in this league in a rookie contract that is light for 5 years, and remember, the first pick overall, the second pick overall, those guys make money. But they don't make Mahomes-type money or Dak-type money. Also thought Dak would have been good for the Raiders. Dak would have been good. Dak's a really good player, but Jerry Jones paid him, and he is the highest paid player. 10 years ago this week, the highest paid player in the NFL was Jay Cutler at $22 million. 10 years later, Dak Prescott is the highest paid player in the league at $60 million. We went from $22 million to $60 million in 10 years. That has to do with the cap, the money, and all the money that the league is making. Hour number 1 down. Coming up next, my conversation with Antonio Pierce, Chris Matthews from 8 News Now, and your phone calls. We are live at La Casa Cigars. We appreciate our La Casa family here and those who are taking time on their holiday to come say hi to us. La Casa at Tivoli Village. Arthur Bradley might be able to play. He might be able to play.
Thank you for letting these sit on your desk for an hour.
Oh, you always got a plan.
Well, I didn't
You
know
always
I
got
snuck
a
that
plan.
on there. Thank you.
Yeah, you got
These
a
are
plan.
blessed.
Yep, you always got a plan. I know you. Bill Bobby. All right. What's happening, my friend? Thanks for coming.
You hit a good topic about the rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Who do you want?
Okay, no, my question is, how do these rookies come in like Bo Nix, and they instantly, not even just him, but all the rookies, yeah, but all these rookies that come in and they just instantly changes the whole offense. But then you got Chicago, you got what's his name from SC. I mean, although he struggled now, but in the beginning they were on fire. But my question is, like, these rookies that come in, I would have wanted him when they were making that deal. I like him. When they said Minshew, I was
Baker Mayfield would have been a great Raider. I got to agree with you on that, my brother. And
my thing now is like, okay, what happened? Yeah, we're going to get a quarterback. Are we going to get another coach? Are we going to get another offensive coordinator? I mean, is it all start over again? Here we go.
The unknown.
So, like, to me, it feels like we go back in the same boat again for, like, that constant door revolving. What are we? What's our identity? We haven't had it in quite a while.
We haven't had one in quite a while. I think your point is you got to get quarterback.
I think Gruden would have been good for him if we were able to keep him. I think they were on the right track.
He's a Gruden guy. He's a Gruden guy.
I got a plan on the Raider identity. That's my deal. That's the problem.
Who knows if that man could?
That's the problem, my brother.
That? Yeah.
Knows better than anyone.
Yep, I do.
Arthur Brady might be the answer.
All right, everyone. I'm gonna jump out of here in about 10 minutes here and just go radio only. Appreciate everyone here. Gonna play the coach. Proper looking cigar. What do I have here? Yes.
So what are you doing? Where's that going to?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel I broadcast live on. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a live stream, nice. You got to evolve, Chef. You got to evolve, man. All the kids are on YouTube now, man. They're all there. They're all there. I don't act like I'm old school, though. I didn't last night. All right. How we doing, Bobby?
What did you eat at Evans?
Let me know when you're back.
But I go by Rocky.
Yeah. All right, this is my final hour of the week. JT live from La Casa Cigars in Tivoli Village. Come on down here. We'll be here for another hour. We have the Remy Martin gals here serving up Remy Martin's signature cocktails here. Modelo, Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, Tito's, one of our proud partners. And we have Raider fans here, and I greatly appreciate all the Raider fans who've come out today as we are live also on YouTube for about another 10 minutes. I'm going to play my conversation with the head coach, which I always do on Friday, because when you're the only guy in town who talks to the head coach, you play it. And we'll get a chance to hear what he had to say. A couple of people have asked me this. He's been more aggressive in the last couple of weeks in a good way. Every time I talk to him, whatever I ask him, he gives it to us. It's been hard. You know, imagine being a head coach and having to do an interview and a couple of podium sit-downs with the national media and local media that are here. He does that twice a week, and he sits down with me. It's part of his job. I think he's really good at it because he's got a background in media. He's a Super Bowl champion as a player here, but Antonio Pierce's team is riding a 10-game losing streak. And I can tell you this much, that the team wants to stop this losing streak. None of the Raiders, even though the Raiders are going to get a high draft pick and might get the first or second overall, none of the players on the team want to lose the rest of the games because they're all going to be a part of history if this turns out to be a 10 to 13 game losing streak. No one wants to be in the press guide, in the media guide, saying I was a part of that team that lost the final 13 games. Everybody got that? That's reality of what's happening now. The reality is they might not win a game because they're playing Jacksonville, New Orleans, and the Chargers. Well, the Chargers at the end of the year, because they won last night, might not have to play their starters. And I brought this up before anybody has in this town. What happens if the Chargers come here, date to be announced? That could be a Saturday or Sunday game. And Jim Harbaugh says, we're in the playoffs. We're the 6 or 7 seed. We cannot move. We cannot move. Nobody's playing. Nobody's playing. Justin Herbert's not playing. Derwin James, Khalil Mack, you're all sitting. And the Raiders could be the first pick in the draft or second. And the Raiders are going up against an opponent that will not play any of their good players. I think New Orleans, the Raiders are like New Orleans. I think they're probably equal, even though New Orleans is having a better year. I think the Raiders could win that game on the road. And the Raiders are playing Jacksonville on Sunday. We've seen the Raiders beat Mac Jones before. And if you think the Raiders are showing up Sunday at Allegiant Stadium before Christmas, mailing it in, you don't know this Raider team. They're going to come in balls out, flying around, trying to get Brock Bowers going. Someone asked me in the chat about Brock Bowers and what I think is going to happen. I will tell you again, I pushed it pretty hard last week on Brock Bowers not getting the ball. It's about